Supporters of Minneapolis Public Schools. Here's what happened at the February 20th board meeting. Just wanting to give you an update. This was an update for Dr. Sales Adams, our new superintendent, to hear from her cabinet members updates on the plan, like our board strategic plan or strategic initiatives, like what is happening in different departments so that she can know if we're making progress. So the first thing that she heard was an update from our academics team. Every year, the students in Minneapolis Public Schools take a couple of tests, especially grades 2 through 8. They take a fast screener, right? So it's a quick screener. It's a 30-minute test, and it really sort of is supposed to indicate if students are making growth or not. They take one in October and they take one in February. For the third straight year in a row, we saw the data that our February FAST test scores have decreased again. And so there was an opportunity for the academics team to talk about their strategy, what they need to change, what they need to do. There was a conversation about does this mean that we need more tutoring? Does this mean that we need to change the content or the core instruction that we're giving students? I didn't hear any answers in that meeting particularly. I heard a lot of wrestling with the problem and naming hard things. I'll be looking to see what happens and listening to see if there's something we're going to institute that is different academically, but I didn't hear that in this meeting. Then we heard an update from our human resources department talking about both our openings and how many more teachers of color we've hired than ever before in our district. And they talked about the fact that in some harder to hire pools like mathematics or special education or science, they're going to open up our hiring pools earlier than we ever have before to try to attract folks into those shortage areas. We also heard an update from Director Francis about the hate and bias protocol. So the hate and bias protocol is something where families and students or educators could report when incidents of hate or discrimination happen to them, and then there's a process that we can fall on. I know from me as a parent that many times when we have gone through things with our family, with an instance with another student or an instance with an educator, we haven't known necessarily what to do, right? You can go to someone, but if that thing doesn't work out, if it doesn't resolve, if the person doesn't want to make that right, what do you do? And our district has been saying for years that they're working on this, and I've been tracking this personally to see. And this was the board meeting where Director Francis said, we have a prototype ready to go, and we're going to try to pilot it in 5 different schools. So I'm looking forward to hearing about the pilot. I'm looking forward to hearing more information about that. I plan to attend one of the opening nights to learn about that as a community member. So we'll let you know more about that. And then I think there was a moment where one of our student representatives, because I always want to highlight the brilliance of students, one of the student representatives asked a question. He said, what happens to the students in our district where they maybe don't qualify for tutoring, but they're not making gains in their classroom? That was one of those moments in the boardroom where I didn't hear an answer to his question. I heard people kind of struggling with it, wrestling with it, talking about some theories, some things we could do, some things that we might do. But I'm just going to leave that clip for you all to watch because I think there is something to be said about trusting students and listening to them. I really am enjoying our 2 new student representatives and can't wait to get to know them better. Anyway, so that is what happened in this week's school board meeting. You'll see some clips in that as you watch, and I can't wait to see you for the March meeting where we're going to learn much more about exactly how this district's budget cuts are going to fall. Thanks for listening.
So we've said before that we have a core issue. I've said that many times in my 4 years here, but this data solidifies that it's not only students needing intervention that have participated in the decline of the data, rather it's also core, specifically in schools with high need where both growth and proficiency have declined. We now have data to prove it. So for literacy, it's a combination of access to high quality foundational curriculum, content knowledge, and teacher knowledge of the science of reading. Again, these are things that we need to improve on. It is up to me as a senior academic officer to make sure that our teachers feel support and have the opportunity and the access to these things to improve instruction. For math, we will continue to adjust support in years 2, 3, and 4 of the curriculum adoption that we've seen. The support we are providing is working, but we need to continue our classroom observations and look-fors.
Looking at our ongoing work, so we are currently in implementing our early contract hiring process for this upcoming school year. We have early contract positions posted for science, math, EL, elementary, and for all of our related service provider positions. We are also partnering with Metro State University, Mankato State University, and Owatonna. That is in service of our teacher apprenticeship program, which is one of the first of its kind in Minnesota. It's a 2-year job embedded associates to bachelor's and licensure program for our ESP. So we have 2 tracks. We've got a special education track and a elementary track. We're doing our special education partnership with Mankato State and our elementary partnership with Metro State.
And so we've been intentional to put ours together in 3 parts before an incident occurs. What are you doing as a school to be aware of those incidents going on? Be aware of having a team ready to respond should you have an incident occur. The second part is when an incident occurs, making sure you're ready, active, knowing that you're going to intentionally speak up, making sure the staff have those skills to know how to navigate those situations and make sure that students and families are being responded to. Oftentimes we see families here because they say they've gone so long without anyone reaching out to them to give them communication. So that's one of the key pieces of when incidents occur, being timely on that response. I know there's probably some students and families that are alumni watching right now, like, I remember having those incidents happen in school. And if there's students right now that are watching, I want you to know this is part of the reason we're having this protocol, because we don't want any students to ever have to navigate these things in our schools. The third part of the protocol is repair and doing the continuous learning of how to avoid these kind of incidents. So after those incidents occur, being mindful of how are we talking to students about what happened.
I was just wondering, what is the other help for students testing below expectation besides interventionists, if there